Hey, Tuesday night, Total Schmidt Show, 6 o'clock, Feraz Ozel. Buckle up. Welcome to Total Schmidt Show. How you doing? I'm back at sea. Here's what you're going to get from this show. It's kind of like quarantine comedy, except I'm not going to be home. Actually, it's kind of like quarantine comedy and a combination of all the stuff I've done online over the last year or so. There's sketch stuff, live stuff, stand-up stuff, travel stuff, and of course, conversations with others who do the same things that I do on a daily basis. That's it. That's the whole show. And I'm going to record it all and put it on the intraweb. Sometimes. Usually late. Always late. Maybe. I don't know. And weekly? Nah, maybe. Sort of. Could be. Either way, sit back. I hope you enjoy whatever the hell it is I put together for this week on Total Schmidt Show. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Total Schmidt Show. If you watch the show regularly, you know the deal. I travel, talk to comics, entertainers all over the world. And I put it up here on the YouTube, along with lots of other content here at the Lenny Schmidt Comedy Network. Do me a favor if you can. First of all, like this video. It helps me out a ton. I think most of you know that. If you look above me, I got social media content on one side. I got my YouTube on the other. Please subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing. It helps me out a whole bunch. So I can keep putting up these videos, so I can get more and more on here. It helps me if you watch them and you follow along and you subscribe. Apparently, it's very important to YouTube, the numbers, the follower thing. Anyway, help me out, follow the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the videos, blah, 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 social media. Today, Feraz Ozel is here. I worked with him on the Norwegian blah, 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 a while ago. And this is a cool conversation. We talked about all kinds of stuff. We talked about stand-up, where he came from, what he's got going on, what he was going to do before stand-up, which is really interesting. And we talked about we got in depth about financial stuff, which is kind of cool. We talked about why we're not taught enough in school about finances. It's a cool conversation. We talked about some stuff that I normally don't talk about. Sit back and enjoy, please, my conversation with Feraz Ozel.
Let me know whenever you
I'm ready. I always start taping first.
Oh, you start taping first?
Yeah, I always tape before I tell anyone.
Yeah, so I think I say I've been doing it like 12-ish, 13-ish years, but it's kind of like 14. But my first 2 years, I was 19 when I started in college. So I was at UCSD, and I did my first show my second year of college. And my first show was a fraternity show in front of like the entire Greek system.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like very not the warmest crowd, because it could be like the cattiest people, like every other frat guy from every other frat wants you to bomb. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And so it was like a competition. This one fraternity, there was a guy in their frat, and this was down in San Diego, who was a local comic. He was like 20, and he was trying to do stand-up also. And so he put together a show for their, like a philanthropy show, and it was like one person from every fraternity and every sports team, one guy, does 1 minute, and by audience applause, they'll pick a winner, and the winning frat or sports club gets a keg. And so
they're literally performing for beer. Right on.
Yeah. And so basically, I wasn't sure I wanted to do it, and then my guys in my frat basically were like, do you want to do it? Like, hella encouraging me. So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll try it. You know what I mean? And so I played guitar. I've been playing guitar since I was like 12 years old. I had bands and stuff. My first performance art was music. Okay. Yeah, so I had bands in like high school, like these emo punk bands and shit. We had a band called No Regrets, which is a very, very fucking regrettable name. So,
do you have any footage? Are you doing stuff?
No, not, it's like, thank God we lived in a time where there weren't camera phones, or there would be a lot of footage of me with badly dyed, bleached hair.
Really? Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Fucking hilarious.
Like, I bleached my hair my second year of high school, and it just came out all spotty, like a cheetah. So I was like, all right, I came up with one joke and one song basically, and I was like, I'll do one funny song and I'll do like one joke, and I get to the show, right, and they say no other guy from any frat or sports team volunteered to try stand-up. Everybody was too scared to try it.
Okay.
So they had like 3 local San Diego comics who were all like in their early 20s,
right,
and me. So they're like, we're just going to bring you out like you're a comic and just have you open the show.
All right.
And I'm like, okay. And so then one guy, the host guy warms him up, and then I come out there and I do my thing, and it goes really well. Like for everybody has their story about their first time on stage is eating a bag of shit.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have that experience at all, but
Yeah.
like I had the cheat code with the guitar. I did a funny song.
Oh, that works.
So I like the one joke worked, the song worked. I got the hell off, and afterwards everybody was like, "We didn't know you did stand up." I was like, "Yeah, me neither." So I was 19, and from that point it was kind of like I was doing guitar. Someone might just fancy themselves an open mic slam poet. They do like maybe 1 or 2 a year or something. You know what I mean? I was like watching stand up, studying it, writing it, but I kind of don't count those years between 19 to 21 because, as we know, if you're not actually getting on stage like every week, are you really doing it? So I did it at 19, a couple more times throughout the year, and then in senior year is when I decided to really try it full bore. And so my second semester of senior year, I just started going to the comedy clubs all the time, deciding that's what I was going to try to do, and see if I had any good growth over the first year to find out if I'm a crazy person or if there's a growth where this could be sustained into whereas it could lead to something, because I got into law school, I got into the CIA, I was hired as a counterterrorism analyst.
Oh shit, no way.
Yeah, so I had both of those pending basically, and I was like, oh sorry CIA, I got this fucking dick joke I'm working on.
It's a great backup plan though.
Yeah.
CIA, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was they told me it was going to take a year for my background checks, so I said I'll defer law school for a year. CIA's going to take a year for background checks, and by the end of 1 year I'll have a better idea of if this is doable. They fast-tracked me. Within 3 months I got a call. They were like, you're in, you're hired, here's your clearance code, here's your paperwork, here's how much you're getting paid, little chats, onboarding conversations, soft conversations, and then basically got to the point where they're like, okay, so you're moving to Liberty Crossing in Virginia next week. And I was like, oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you, I smoked weed in Amsterdam one time. Just like, I didn't want to admit to illegal activity, but I knew that we smoking weed is a problem, so I said I did it in Amsterdam. And they were like, they literally were like, oh, that happens all the time. Just tell us when it's been exactly 1 year since that date, and we'll keep your file open. We'll get you in here. And I was like, I'll keep my file open. That sounds creepy.
Yeah, right now they're fucking tracking you.
I wondered. Yeah, so I never hit him back up because within the first year I had a pretty nice strong start,
Right.
So I went from open micing to hosting the open mic and opening weekend shows within at some of the clubs within like a year. So I was like, okay, something's happening here. I made $50 this week off stand up. Something's happening.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, and I knew that I loved it. So I was like, all right, let's give this a solid whirl. And then San Diego for a few years, kind of rose to the top levels of that scene within like 2.5, 3 years, and then moved to LA. And then in LA it was like just when I got into the NACAs, that's when I got to quit my day job, when I started doing the colleges.
Yeah, right.
That money was where
That's real money.
That was real money, man. And I was featuring for some more famous people. So I was featuring for some famous buddies and headlining colleges, and then started headlining some B rooms, and then once I got into the Disney writing program a few years ago, and from there I got staffed on my first TV show, writing for American Housewife on ABC. Got to write an episode of television, and then now I'm in a cool place where I'm getting to have a lot of meetings and being looked at to develop projects for studios and pitching my own stuff. So it's fun. It's to get to wear the writing hat and then also go out and tour, do ships, and not get stuck doing any one thing.
Dude, CIA backup. That's my daughter's got a friend that's a forensic like a CSI forensic psychologist. She's going through the whole thing.
That must be cool.
Dude, she fast tracked through school like 3.5 years or whatever. But dude, that's a pretty good backup plan. It's fucking CIA.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a good backup plan. Now I think I've talked way too much about illicit drug use and every other type of
dude,
illicit.
There's no way they would touch you.
Yeah.
Dude, all the mushroom stuff you talk about, there's no fucking.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah, it's gone. That aspect of the plan is gone. But what I will say is
they still have your file.
yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, very comforting thought. Yeah, they still have my file. But the more I think about it, is like, I wanted to do it because I just never wanted like a normal desk job. I knew that much, you know, and I wanted to go catch bad guys. I was like, let's go fucking catch some Taliban, Al Qaeda motherfuckers, and let's go kill these motherfuckers.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Right.
But now the more I think about it, it's like, you don't know what you would have been doing. Like you don't know what kind of blood you'd have on your hands. Like you can go into these types of, government institutions with all sort of optimism and thinking you're going to change the world, but then you just become a gear in the machine ultimately, right?
Yeah, you also start to understand the world more when you get older.
Yes.
When you're younger, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna save, and then you look back at it now, you're like, oh my god, there's a whole clusterfuck of shit that,
Yeah, life takes care of that optimism.
right. Yeah. Life knocks the optimism right out of you.
Right on, Matt. So now I look back and I go, thank God I probably didn't do that, because I might have thought I'm giving intel to catch some bad guy, and next thing I read on the news, they bombed some fucking Red Cross in the mountains of Pakistan and like 20 civilians are dead, So like that kind of stuff happens left and right. And, even during Obama's administration, like the drone attacks that were killing
the drone thing is, I know, dude.
Hundreds of civilians in
and that's only the shit you hear about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they had to admit to.
Right. Think about this. Yeah, think about the stuff that we don't fucking know about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you look back at, or you ever listen to like, there was a book, ever heard of the first 9/11? The first, I think it was called the first 9/11.
No,
back in the early 70s. This is when I read it. I think it was Chomsky wrote about it or something.
Yeah.
But it was about the U.S. went in. They basically infiltrated, destroyed a country. I don't remember all the information off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But they started a coup, which is what they kind of did. They fucking flooded the country with drugs.
It's kind of our thing.
Yeah, and then they went in and completely destroyed. And it was in the Middle East. It was in Afghanistan. So a lot of the anger and frustration traces back to those early 70s. You know what I mean? Where people are like, why are they so mad at us? Well, because we fucking in 72, we completely, you killed somebody's family. You know what I mean?
That's the thing, is it's and that's like I don't write as much socio-political material anymore, just because it feels like it's so common that it triggers people so much that and also I'm just, like I said, I'm just kind of losing my own sense of optimism that it's going to change anyone's thinking nowadays.
Right.
But a lot of times people will say stuff like, oh, well, why are you talking about politics? Someone who knows about politics should talk about politics. I'm like, you guys are really underestimating my grasp on politics. Like, it's like CIA has a harder acceptance rate than Harvard. You know what I mean? Like, it's like really hard to get into the CIA. And I majored in poli-sci. I studied abroad in Budapest and did like an international relations specialization course over there. So a lot of the stuff I talk about is coming from a place of like deep research, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it doesn't matter, because you just get flooded together with the opinions of the armchair political pundits.
Yeah, right.
Who are just screaming whatever, But like what you just said about them going in there and messing stuff up, and us, in America, we've done that time and again. Like we've overthrown like what's happening in Iran right now.
Right.
Can be with the Ayatollah and all that. That can trace all the way back to them putting the Shah in power.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a good thing going. They messed that up, put the Shah in power. And then as a result, for every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right?
Sure.
It's physics.
Well, Al-Qaeda's our fault. I mean, that came from the earlier Desert Storm. You know what I mean? When it was who was it before? The Taliban. You know what I mean? And I mean, the Taliban's still around, but once you went in and gutted them, then Al-Qaeda showed up.
Right. It's because because the Taliban was the anti-communists. So to fight Russia, we empowered extremists,
right?
Because at least the extremists were better than communists, because communists don't believe in religion,
right?
So the hyper religious people of the Taliban were like, we're anti-communist. We're like, cool, let's give these guys all the weapons, and this will be fine,
everything they need,
And then sure enough, you fast forward and it's crazy.
There's like that scene from Iron Man. You know what I mean? Where you look over, you see Stark's Industries, like son of a,
yeah.
Like where it comes from.
I mean, and that's the thing is you can't kick the can down the road over and over again without it eventually catching up to us.
Right.
With all issues, whether it's international war stuff or like how we were talking about the homelessness issues in the country yesterday. Everything catches up.
Well, it's not really. I don't look at it as kicking the can. I look at it as almost like throwing a yo-yo or a pendulum.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when you float in one direction, you're like you throw it as far as you can, or like tetherball. Ever play tetherball?
Yeah.
You hit it as far as you can. Well, eventually it's gonna come back. Whoa!
Yeah.
It goes back the other way. So it's a constant swing back and forth. So like, kill the extremists, help the extremists. Kill the extremists, help the extremists.
Yeah. No, totally. And the thing is, though, right, is it's that if by the time it comes back, 25 years have passed. 30 years have passed, then the people present now are like, well, what did we do?
Dude, it's even worse now because of the way we're trained with social media and our thought process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone's got a short attention span.
Yeah.
You don't remember 2 weeks ago.
Right.
6 months ago, let alone 20 years ago.
Totally. Yeah. There's a really good book I read called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Have you heard of this book?
I have heard of it, yeah.
It's really cool. I mean, it's one of those things where it's written under a pseudonyms and the guy claims it's a completely true story, but you have no way of like proving it's a true story.
Right.
But if you choose to believe the guy, he basically opens the door on this whole world of like economic hitmen, where at the intersection between high level finance world and high level government and like military world, they employ these sort of economic consultants that go to different countries and like they went to Panama, for example, right? And they say, okay, you got all this, you guys need all this infrastructure and industry built. The U.S. is going to give you a loan of billions of dollars, but you have to use that money on U.S. manufacturing companies. So essentially, it's still the money comes right back to us in our GDP. So we loan them the money, they spend the money on us, and then they owe us the money because it's loaned. So we make the money back twice, and it's such a heavy loan that it cripples the country from getting out of our pocket, like almost like a mob, like a shark.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like loan shark shit, but on a national level. Because if Panama or anyone else owes us billions of dollars, they can never get out of line, or we have the right to kind of call in that money. And
well, it's exactly the way they handle the poor here, though.
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing. You put people in a situation where, like, I believe for years that our education system is just to make you a follower, like a robot. That's
right.
They don't teach you about, like, my daughters are going through this learning about credit cards and banking. Like shit, I never learned as a kid.
Yeah.
But they don't teach you that in school because they don't want you to know about it.
Definitely. And your daughters are in college, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that kind of a little separation from the sheep path only starts till college. Right. But a lot of people never go to college.
Sure.
You know?
Right. 100% right.
And so,
I didn't, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly. And so unless you're a reader like you are, like unless you're someone who goes out looking for knowledge and you just do high school, which is fine, but you're programmed from that point. Or like you're more susceptible to just believing what they want you to think the world
well,
is.
It's also why I've been so bad with money my entire life.
Yeah.
So when my daughters got into grade school, I got a bank account to try to teach them. Because I didn't want them to know. Because I did that. I went through high school.
Yeah.
And went right into the workforce.
Yeah.
And started stand up at like 22 or whatever. But I never knew about banking and money until I got older, and I started to look back and go, you know, the more you learn, once you have a family, and I start dealing with bills and stuff.
I mean, absolutely. I didn't know shit. The way my first introduction to the concept of like compounding interest on top of like a Roth IRA or something like that was because in my fraternity we had an alumni mentor come through and do a finance education session. If that education session didn't happen, even 4 years at UCSD, a good university, like I would have not heard the word IRA or compounding interest one time because I wasn't like a finance manager. And you have to wonder, right? And like you said, is it because I don't know how they benefit in a way off of people having a certain types of knowledge, being able to guide populations.
Well, yeah, because I think it all comes down. I think everything in this country comes down to it's always about the money. You call it power politics, whatever you want, but it's about the money. So if you got all these people indebted to the banks, you know what I mean. You got a shitty car loan, you got a bad credit rating, you got credit cards. Everybody gets a credit card, runs it up. You know what I mean, and then they're constantly so everyone's in debt. Everyone's in debt,
and that's how they benefit. So yeah, it is nuts, right? I mean, that's why I think every year when I'm doing my taxes on TurboTax, I'm just like, couldn't I have just learned this instead of about the Ming Dynasty for two quarters in college? Like, why do I know so much about the Ming Dynasty and I don't know shit about what to do with these 1099s?
You do your own taxes?
I did for a hot minute, but I just my first time paying for someone else to do the tax, an accountant. That's the word. That's the word.
That's it. Was college guy.
Yeah. Money person to paper money person
with calculator that figures numbers.
The guy with the visor.
The old 1960s, 50s.
Yeah, that was literally 2 years ago, but that's just that immigrant penny pinching mentality that's just been passed down to me. Like I was born here, but my parents came here, so it's like, I think there's just that money saving mentality where it's like, if you could do it yourself, just do it yourself. But then once I had like crypto investments, all the touring money that we have from different avenues, and then when you do clubs, you're getting 1099s from 6 different states, and then I had writing money, and then like a little bit of acting money, and I was just overwhelmed. I was like, this shit, I'm gonna get audited.
That's why. I was about the same amount of time. I think it was 15 years in, almost 20 years in when I got an accountant. Yeah. Now I'm incorporated. I have a payroll. You know what I mean? I cut myself a check, but my theory is pay someone that gets paid to do that. Yeah. So every year she gets updated on the tax code. So she goes, here's the new tax code. So I do taxes. I keep track of it. I do quick and all that stuff. Oh yeah. So I keep track of everything on a monthly basis. I just saw her 2 months ago actually when we did our midpoint. Oh yeah. But I pay her everything. So I go there. And she also, when I saw her, I had her she did my taxes. I go, oh my God, this is great. She goes, yeah, because I owed the IRS money at the time. Yeah. And she was, I could redo your taxes for the last few years if you want me to. Yeah. So I had enough information to go back 3 years, and she redid my taxes, saved me a ton of money. Yeah. And there was 1 year, I can't remember the year that I owed a lot, 2004 or something, and I just paid it off. I paid it off eventually.
Yeah. I mean, that's great to hear, because I had the same experience where my accountant, she pays for herself. Like she's
100%. Dude.
I mean,
easy.
Yeah,
it's a huge investment. It's a way more money I get back.
100%. And like she's good too at being. They're on your side, is what I realized. You know what I mean? It's not like they're kind of like, all right, here's where we can, and she'll let me know too. Like, okay, here's where you might be getting into murky territory, and you're likely to get audited. But if we do this, you're totally safe, and you can still save a bunch of money.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, let's do that. You know, because I'm not trying to get audited. I'm not as organized as you. So if I had to flesh out paperwork to prove shit, I would be in trouble, man.
It's going to be on YouTube, so I don't want to tell you how detailed my paperwork is.
Yeah.
Because if I got audited, I would be like, I have it, but I have to find it. You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
It would be like days of pulling everything out. And
100%. And it's like, it's not like I'm lying big time, but it's just like, I mean, how do I prove to you that my cab ride from Port Canaveral was $80 2 years ago? You know what I mean? It's like it was, but I don't know if I have the receipt. You know?
Yeah.
So it's
well, that's a really kind of saves your ass too. Plus, I can call her all year long, so something will come up. Like COVID, she helped a ton, dude.
Yeah.
Because I got a couple of those loans and tried to get through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what should I do? How should I deal with it? Blah blah blah.
Right.
She helped big time. So I mean, save my ass.
No, yeah, I'm very happy with it now. It's like a huge stress relief, and just to be like, here, take this. But it's also nice to be, when you have the money to not. I had to I kind of got to the point of not in my comedic finances where I didn't have to think as hard about pinching pennies within the last 4 years. Okay, so like within the last 4 years, I kind of had to like take a breath and restructure my brain to be like, oh no, you're not poor anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, it's fine. You can spend $300, $400 on an accountant. Like, it's fine. Like, you can spend an extra $100 here or there. Like, you don't have to like pinch pennies so hardcore because, for those first 7 years, it was like, okay, even especially the point where you can officially quit your day job and just start get a living through comedy money, but now you've lost all the day job money.
Right.
So you're making the least money, but it's all comedy money.
Yeah.
And then you're just building from there. Like, from that point on, it was just like, how can I exist for as cheap as possible?
Right, but also the energy shifts because now you're in hustle mode.
Right.
Even though you're making money from stand-up, that's a constant hustle to keep the work coming in. Whether you're 6 months ahead, a year ahead, or 8 months ahead, or whatever.
Yeah.
You're constantly busting your ass to just with a day job. You're like, okay, I'm going to go to work.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about that stuff.
Yeah, you get to relax. You get to think about a wood project you're making in your garage or something. You know what I mean? Like,
you come every night and work on your boat.
Yeah.
Like,
you get
like break with a NCIS when Mark Harmon's character used to build that boat.
Yeah, working on your car in the shop. Like I don't have time for any projects that I'm just doing. It's like my life is my project. Just keeping the plate spinning.
Filling calendars. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So but it took a few years, and everything's chill now. But it took a few years to rewire my brain from that penny pinching, I need to just get by mode. Where's my next check coming from? To being like, oh no, you're good. Like things are coming, you're good, and like you can kind of set your life up for less stress. You know?
Right. Yeah. I'm working on a bit about that now. Because like even when I grew up, I didn't have a lot of money. We were broke, and so my whole life I've been in survivor mode. So my whole life has been this constant figure shit out. Yeah. So now things are going like pretty good, and like we're in the middle of, we might have to move. Like we should move. We're in a shitty apartment. The building sucks. I was talking to my daughters. So now we're looking at moving. So, but I'm still one of those guys. Like I'm still one of those guys that wakes up in the morning like looking for a problem.
It's anxiety.
Like, like I got in an argument with my agent the other day on the phone, and it was the day after he gave me a ton of work. He's like, "What is your fucking problem?" And I'm like, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, what is my fucking problem? And I think that's what it is. It's like things are like I don't have to. I'm booked for the next like almost a year now. I'm like looking at it.
Yeah,
like,
you're chilling.
Yeah, I'm pretty loaded. Things are good. The kids are in school. It's paid. Everything's paid for. You know? Actually, most of my credit cards. You know what I mean? I'm in pretty good shape. So I'm constantly looking. There's got to be something around here that's going to fall apart at any moment. You know what I mean?
Like you're uncomfortable in the peace.
Really it's
hard for you to just believe everything's fine.
I'm familiar with chaos.
Yeah.
Like I always joke, like when things get real shitty and weird, I seem to be at my calmest point. Where I'm like, all right, we're good. Everything's going to be fine. Because I'm used to that. I'm used to this insaneness.
Yeah, almost like if you're not juggling three things, you think you're missing something, forgetting something.
Right?
Like
No, 100%.
Waiting for the bottom to fall out.
Yeah, that's why like when COVID came, it messed me up a little bit, but I was like, oh, we'll get through it. Because I've always been in some sort of weird COVID situation where I'm in, where I'm like 2 days away from everything's gone. You know?
Yeah, you're used to kind of feeling like you need to fight uphill.
Yeah,
kind of
you're in survival mode. You're like you said, rewiring your brain is the right way to put it.
Yeah, man, it's and everyone has their version of that. You know?
That's why these guys that win the lottery blast through their money and end up broke, and you know,
it's sad. It goes back to our concept about financial planning and all that. Right? But I mean, that is everyone has their version of that. Whether it's feeling like the bottom's gonna fall out, or like some people are waiting for their partner to cheat on them because they've been cheated on a bunch, and they bring that to their new relationships.
Yeah.
Because but it's so important. It's so important for us to kind of like take a breath. That's why I'm really big on like meditating, and we joked about it, but that's why I'm big on like psychedelics. And it's not like I do psychedelics like it's not like I'm doing psychedelics like weed like every week or something.
Right.
It's like I'm talking like 3 times a year.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you do it 3 times a year or once a year even.
Right.
And you do a nice little weekend trip, or even if you don't want to do psychedelics, you just take time to look inward and meditate every day and be conscious of the stuff you need to work on, and like you are, and like, all right, how do I deal with this? How do I make this improve? And it's so important, you know? And I feel like society as a whole is getting more aware of that. You know, there's much more talk about mindfulness and meditation and consciousness and vibes and all that shit is more on the common like lingo and zeitgeist than ever before in my life. So I think it's going to a good place. But yeah, the more of that, the better. I feel.
Well, I think COVID helped push it that way in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
because you had no way to deal. You had to find a way to deal with shit.
Yeah,
it was really unpredictable for everybody. No matter, like I said, how I usually am used to chaos mode. There's a lot of people that have never been. You know, I knew friends that were freaking out constantly.
Yeah,
and I was like, you know, it'll work out. Everything's fine. After a while, you're like, this is all working out. It's all good. But like when I got divorced, I got really into being present. It was Eckhart Tolle and really just grounding. And it's something I try to teach my kids. And I think COVID brought it back and helped thrust it into the mainstream. Because now, like, especially these kids are so into it, man. My daughters are so into meditating and Zen, and all their friends are really, you know what I mean?
And they're young, right? I mean, remind me of their ages?
Dude, the 21-year-old, she called me the other day and she's like, dude, that kid saved my ass. Because she'll call me with a problem and she'll go, it's okay. Take a deep breath, Dad. Everything's going to be fine. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm good. She's like, I know, but you tend to put on a lot on your plate. I mean, she's just
aware.
Yeah, she's really aware. She's very uber aware of what's going on.
That's awesome.
And they're both kind of like that. You know what I mean? And if I talk to more of their friends, this young generation, that's what we talked about this a little bit yesterday too. I'm encouraged about the young generation coming up. Everybody looks at them and talks about the millennials and makes fun of them.
Yeah.
But dude, I see good out of more good out of the younger generation than bad.
Yeah, you know I agree. It's like every generation has their stuff that you can clown and make fun of. But yeah, the young millennials and Gen Z kids, it's like there's definitely a stronger sense of awareness, and I feel like general community. They're like even with TikTok, right? TikTok has its ups and its downs, its pros and its cons. But one thing that's very interesting about TikTok is it's created a sense of community between kids of that age that wasn't there when we were kids, because like they're all in on the same inside jokes, like it's
and globally
globally it's like, oh, we all laugh at this, we all know this dance, we all hate this guy. So it's you could run into a kid your age at the mall and you know there's a 90% chance we all know these jokes, these memes, these dances, and you could start catching a rap just like that. It's like the equivalent would have been when I was like 16 and if I was at a party or something in high school and a kid next to me quoted Anchorman and I'd be like, you like Anchorman? I love Anchorman. And all of a sudden we're kind of closer, right? They have that times 15.
It's like when it's like when I went to summer camp as a kid. Yeah. Because you first meet the kids, you're all nervous and stuff, and then somebody will say something about the White Sox. I'm like, I'm a White Sox fan. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so you don't know. You know what I mean? Until you start till you break down that wall a little bit. You know what I mean?
100%.
Now they kind of had their legwork done for them.
Yeah, and they're also, like you said, they're more into like consciousness awareness and just like raising your vibe and like just being not a sheep, so to speak.
Yeah, it's kind of helpful. It's almost like if the hippie generation had social media.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If you think about it, because like after the hippie, which is another generation they made fun of and they bagged on and stuff. Yeah. But you know, it would talk about psychedelics and opening your mind. The '60s was a complete reversal of the '50s, which led us to the '70s, and then the green in the '80s, which almost reversed it the other way. Right. That's that pendulum thing I'm always talking about. Totally. But that's still that young generation. You always look at them and point at them. But the young generation from the '60s is probably the best example of a generation that came up.
Absolutely, and I feel like every generation or a generation and a half has had a version of that, but it's almost like the iPhone 3 or 4 or 5. It's like hippie 2.0, 3.0, right? So like
no, you're right.
So like hippies were the original like acid users, and they went like it was like overdone almost, right? Like there's people were burning out left and right, and they weren't really sure what to do. And then what's happened more recently is psychedelics and mushrooms and acid. There's much more people that are microdosing. You hear people talk about microdosing left and right, whether it's people like Elon Musk or Joe Rogan or Tim Ferriss, who's a national, New York Times bestselling author, 4-Hour Work Week and all that. High-level engineers in Silicon Valley, people at Google, like you've got these really successful, educated, white-collar people openly talking about how they microdose LSD or mushrooms, meaning they're doing like 1/20th of a hit, and it just opens up their creativity, and they do it like once every twice a week for a month and then stop. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so people, it's almost like the equivalent of like if you looked at it in terms of, if you related it to like college years, right? The hippies were like freshmen who you gave them shots and they did as many shots as possible.
Yeah, right.
And fucking pissed themselves.
And then threw up. And yeah, right.
And I mean, I know it wasn't everybody, but in general, that's the stereotype of them, right?
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to senior year, or you graduate, you're even 24, you're down to maybe sip a bourbon.
Right.
You can sip a bourbon or two and just enjoy yourself and have a conversation and by the time you're 30, you're not.
You drink like an adult.
You drink like an adult.
Whatever,
yeah.
Right,
by the time you're 30, you can have a few drinks and then manage your hangovers and shit like that. I kind of feel like that's what's happening with psychedelics, but over the span of 40 years, 50 years.
You know what kind of might have helped us get in that direction? Honestly, is a lot of this legalization that's going on with pot and marijuana.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's tons of people that smoke pot and they're totally functional individuals.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I know a guy that's stoned all day long.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best business guys. He's just a smart guy. He runs, works out, you know.
Yeah, some people are built differently.
Right.
You know?
Right,
I mean, I had a friend in college and he was like fucking like 4.0, smoking weed every day, like acing his MCAT scores, getting it. And I smoked weed, but I'm not that guy. Like I know, like if I have some important shit to do, I'm not smoking weed.
I'm late at night at home.
Yeah, I'm watching or I could party or something, but like I'm doing something where it does not involve my intelligence or responsibility.
And you know,
yeah,
that's it.
100%. Rick and Morty, or I'm at a concert.
Yeah, right.
But like other than that,
dude, I used to love to take gummies and go to a baseball game.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
just for like 3 hours. Oh, it's so beautiful outside. It's baseball.
That sounds fun.
It's really chill. You know what I mean?
I've never done that.
It's a great way to watch a baseball game. It's
oh man,
dynamite, because it's kind of it's a slow moving game. It's not like basketball.
Yeah,
before anything. You know,
it's a hang.
Yeah, it's definitely. And I like to get there right on time. I'll watch the whole game, just kind of chill.
Yeah,
you know?
I used to have this bit about baseball that I was trying to work on. It never made it off the bench. You know, some jokes never make it off the bench. They're stuck in C materialville.
Yeah.
But it was like, in a nutshell, it was about how baseball's a hang. You know, it's like everybody who talks about why they like baseball, they talk about everything. When they go to a baseball game, they talk about everything but the game.
Yeah, it's true.
They're like, I had a great time, had a few beers, had a hot dog, got connected with my brother.
It was sunny out.
It was sunny out.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm like,
was perfect.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't like baseball. You like barbecues with grown men having recess in the background.
That's pretty funny. That's good, dude.
Yeah, I feel like it was good, but I don't know if I just pissed off all the baseball fans. I feel like there's like a...
bring it back.
I'll bring
That's
it
the
back.
advantage of the shifting is you can bring it back every once in a while, throw it out there and go, why not? You know,
I'll try it. You know what it was, too? It was like, I tried that my 3rd year of stand-up. So sometimes you're not ready for the bit.
Yeah, I talked about this before, bro.
You know?
Sometimes also you become a better comic and a writer as time goes by. There's stuff I wrote years ago that I brought back. I'm like, I know how to make this work now.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes it's even like the delivery, the confidence behind it, you know?
100%.
All of that. It's so
the
funny.
pauses, not rushing it. You know, it's from now you're a professional. Before you were just writing down funny shit.
You're figuring it out, you know? It's really interesting how you can, there's so much more to the joke than the joke.
Right.
On how it's going to play.
Right,
you know?
right.
Like I was even revisiting my set from the theater night 1 when we were talking about how it was kind of rough just because the opening was so long.
Yeah, the guy, the GM that did 25 minutes before you.
Yeah, before the set, the GM did a 20-minute lecture TED talk on the everything about the ship. The crowd was like
the
dead.
equivalent of a club owner's girlfriend that went up on stage to fucking bury the room while you're like, what, in front of a hot crowd. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like, why you can get laid some other way, guys?
Yeah. Dude, not on my time. Yeah,
yeah. But I was rethinking it, and I was thinking about my energy even, and it was like, oh yeah, I need to bring theater energy to the theater show.
Right.
You know, and that's a rookie thing that you should just know, but I think somewhere between waiting backstage for 15, that hurry up and wait situation of just trying to go on, I went out there, it put me in a lull.
Right.
Like I went out there like, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, you were kind of like chill. You were kind of coffee house chill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like real low key, like comedy club second show on a Sunday, like 10 p.m. calm. I almost wanted to sit on the stool. You know, you do the sit on the stool set and you just talk to people, and it's like you can't do that in a theater. You've got to you got to play for the back of the room and you know? Right. So I kind of had to rewire my brain and go, little things like that are things you just know.
Yeah, you got to Bruce Dickinson out when you're out there. He's he's the lead singer of Iron Maiden. He used to say, I love Iron Maiden. He used to say every show, they go, how do you perform? He goes, I perform like I'm performing to the one guy in the back of the fucking auditorium. And that's exactly the way he plays a show, a whole theater. He goes, that's how you play a theater. It's the guy that's in, section 400, row 70.
Yeah.
So I'm screaming at him from the front of the stage, you can hear them. Yeah,
That's
but
like,
that's one. Like I've never had a problem with it because I was always bigger. I always had to come, always had to bring it down.
Yeah.
But that's one of the coolest things about this levity setup is that you do both shows.
Right.
You do the theater and the club.
Yeah.
So you learn to bounce between the two.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's fun. It's fun to be able to get to do both of those things. Yeah, I like the back of the room concept. One thing I found for comedy, for me personally, the thing that grounds me into my set the most is looking into the eyes of all the crowd.
Okay.
And I like to find the people who are really hearing me.
Right.
And I like to envision that my words and vibe and what I'm saying is I'm blasting them in the fucking face with it.
Right.
So I like to do that. So when it's this is why I tell them not to put the spotlight on me on the theater for my solo show. I don't like the spotlight because I like to see people's eyes.
So you're not blinded. Okay.
Yeah, I really grounds me into my set. It makes me feel like I'm just having a conversation, you know?
Okay.
So I'll need to grab what I feel like is authentic connection from just talking to people, and then I'll shoot it at the back of the room to the black abyss.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I'll bring it back down. But if I look in the abyss too much in the blackness, it takes me out of the moment.
Really?
And then I'm not, because it's almost like if you wanted to do an acting equivalent, right?
Yeah.
You're an actor. You've done a lot of
acting is a lot more, but that's a lot more focused and lasered in. You got to be,
right.
You have a connection.
But that's what I like to do.
Okay.
Pretend like Meisner, like repetition, or if we're in it and we're in a scene.
Right.
I like to pretend I'm doing that with the crowd.
Okay.
And so imagine it's the difference of having a scene partner versus if you were doing a green screen thing and you were playing to nobody. You have to really think harder.
It's like reading to someone doing an audition when they're behind the lights.
Yes.
Same concept.
Same idea, exactly. So I like if I can choose, I want a scene partner, right? It'll make me a little more authentic with what I'm doing and how I'm speaking, and that's kind of what I
see. That's funny. That's what I'm exactly the opposite.
Really?
Because the eye connection face to face grounds me and makes me more present, I think, and it helps me in the club because that way I can bring it down.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more of a connection.
Yeah.
But when I'm in I look into the abyss. I play to the abyss and ride out the waves.
Yeah.
And what I had to learn was, sometimes the crowds are tight. Sometimes, so you can't go in there thinking, I'm going to play a theater.
Right.
Because then you play them and you're not getting theater back.
Right. And then you look silly.
Right. And you feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
You're
You feel like
this is, hello? Anybody, that whole, anybody out there?
Yeah. That's part of it too, for sure. I mean, if you come out and your first couple of what are normally really big pops get a medium pop, for me, internally, I'm immediately like, okay, we need to bring it down to match their vibe.
Sure.
And we're going to pump that flame and hope by the end it's a flame.
Right. Well, any good comic tells after 2 or 3 jokes, okay, now how this show's going to go.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
What I need to do.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it goes. What I like to do, and I think it's pretty common, right? Is if you realize the crowd is kind of down here, you can't be just playing up here.
Right.
It's just gonna get weird. You've got to bring it down. I personally will, if it's in a club or something, or I'll even sit down. So it's kind of, I'll sit down for a bit, match their vibe completely, make them feel like I'm not here for you.
Yeah.
We're just talking. Let's do it. It's gonna be a lounge show, and then once you get that first pop, you bring the energy up a little, and it's literally like you're pumping a flame, right?
Dude,
and then
it's you're slowing down to let people in the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get in. Oh, let's go. And then, you meet them on their level, right? And then you take them on a ride.
That's a great analogy. And once you feel they're in the car, you've got to fucking rev.
Yeah.
And then you go, and all of a sudden they're with you, and it's like, Bob.
And when you're driving, you're in complete control.
And
that's a good analogy.
Yeah. And that's why by the end of my set, I got off on this huge laugh, right?
Yeah,
right. And,
I felt bad, but I didn't. I'm like, thanks, dude.
You're like, nom, this is good. Thanks for leaving all the meat on the bone.
This is great. My first 3 jokes crushed. And right away I go, man, he took a huge bullet for you.
Yeah, not any of our first rodeo, not the last. It's that's the beauty of doing it so long is emotionally you're just bulletproof. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just all right, while it was happening, cerebrally I knew how it was going to go. I was like, okay, they're dead from the intro. I'm going to get them going. I'll probably get them hooked in my last 5.
Right.
And that's how it happened.
Yeah, right. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's it's nice. It's nice when you're not you've done enough sets, killer sets, good sets, mediocre sets, to know that in general you're not the problem. You know what I mean? It's in general, it's how much of comedy is the vibe.
I love / hate that feeling when you're 2 jokes in and you're like, this is gonna suck.
Oh,
this is
fuck
gonna blow.
Oh,
for
yeah.
15 minutes hard. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to because you gotta come down to their level, and you don't want to come too low. Where you're like, hey, everybody. At some point you gotta, you want to get them in the car, but you don't want to stop the car.
And it's not, and it's not free flowing art at that point. It's problem solving. It's
you're right.
A mix, right? It's like you're free. You're in your art form, but 50% of your brain is problem solving. Okay, where are they? Which part of the room likes what?
Right.
Is
and
this
then
part dead?
maybe you're editing, or even you're completely changing what you're going to do.
Yes.
There's plenty of times where you go, well, shit, this I can't do this or this.
Oh, yeah.
And then, especially in a ship, you go, well, I don't want to waste this and this because I can use it in the next show.
Yeah.
And it'll fit right in that, and that show will crush. And this one, so what can I do to get them back and keep, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot more thought process that goes into these shows on a ship than a club.
100%, because
Yeah.
it's this week-long jigsaw of what jokes can you save.
Right.
Because
Right,
when you
right.
get to that last show, like for me, this happens all the time. When I get to that last show and I only have maybe 5 new minutes that they haven't heard. This is after I've done 2 hours of material, right?
Right.
And PG material especially. And I only have 5 new PG minutes, and I'm hodgepodging a little bit from every set. So I'm like, okay, unless these people came to every set, they'll for everyone there might be like 10-15 minutes of repeat and at least 15-20 of new, you know.
Right.
But
because I'll do like a chunk from each show. If I'm in
Yeah.
that situation at the end, well,
Yeah.
I'll do 2, and then I'll do some new stuff.
Yeah.
That. But sometimes I love the feeling though when you get to the end of the week and you look at your notes and you go, oh shit, I got a whole show left.
100%.
You know what I mean? Then you're like, oh man, I'm gonna look like a hero tonight.
Yeah.
You know, you're all happy.
I'm gonna get to do that this week because I only have my second PG show today,
Right.
and then I only have one more at the end of the week.
Oh, and then and you have 2 adult shows.
But you're dealing with what I dealt with last week,
Right.
which is you did the 20,
Yeah.
and then you had a PG today, and then you got your PG theater, and then you got
Right.
another PG at the
which
end.
is cool for me because I got tons of PG stuff.
Yeah, you got a lot
so
more family-friendly stuff than
I'm
I do.
disappointed I don't get a second adult show, but I'm
Right.
not worried about that third family show either.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, that
totally.
would be great. That's where the social media stuff will go. Because I got a bunch of stuff that can go in either show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I just clean it up and pull it out of the middle of a bit and put it in another bit about my kids or whatever.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. It's so nice though when you have that, because like last week by the time I did that last show, and you know there's that last day energy where everyone's fucking hungover and full and exhausted, and sometimes that last day energy can be a little like a Sunday night at a club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They stayed Sundays after Saturday.
Yeah.
It was the worst show.
Yeah. Everyone's just tired, kind
Yeah.
of, you know. And so I like to blame it on that, but I know a large part of it was also like, okay, a lot of these people came to all my shows or like 3 of my shows, and they've heard 75% of what I'm saying. You know?
You think? A lot of times people come there last night, they haven't been there.
Yeah, I mean, it was
You know what
50-50.
happens in Alaska a lot? I did the Alaska cruise. I don't know why they do this. They do it on the Encore. The last night, one guy does a show in the club. And I think I can't remember if it's a clean show or adult show. I think it's an adult show.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because it's a port day.
Yeah.
And in that particular port, you're in port till 10 p.m. So the show's at 8. So the room, there's only 12 people in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're usually a combination of, part of it is like they want to see a comedy.
Uh-huh.
But the other part of it is those are people that don't just want to go out in Canada and spend the money. They got
Right.
a drink package.
Right.
And they literally, there's nothing else to do on the show. You are the only gig on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing in the theater. There's nothing. Everything. The bars are closed. So it's literally, it's people just like
Yeah, that's where they're at.
daring you. It's like a Monday night open mic where they, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
But open mic, yeah, there's a little bit of an open mic feeling where you're just like, no, you don't like it? All right, what's next? You
People
know?
that are laundromat where people are waiting their clothes to dry. You know,
Yeah.
They don't care. You
That's
know?
that's when my set gets real meta, where I'm just like shitting on the set, shitting on them, half abandoning jokes. I'm just like, who gives a fuck about any of this? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it's been fun overall, you know. I got my next one in like 5 months when I get off of this in March.
What, another levity gig?
Yeah. So
Where are you at? You know?
I can't remember. I can't keep track of them. It's like I'll worry about that. March
Yeah, right.
2023. You know, I had one offer for January, but you know, I tried pilot season. I'm just trying to be in town more for pilot season and whatnot. So not piss off the agents. And all
No, if you
that,
can,
and,
go ahead. You know, like
so,
I don't have a theatrical agent anymore, so I remember I
Yeah.
used to play that game too.
Yeah, it's a tough game to play.
Someone's calling me while I'm recording.
Yeah. This is the ship. They can just call us whenever we want. It looks like
see
it's
who that is?
7611 officer cabin.
That's Neil. That's good.
All right. Well,
Oh, well,
we'll edit this out. Yeah, it's but I go and I just hang up on him. He'll go to voicemail. There you go. He's in voicemail.
give a shit.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so it's that game is that's where I'm in now, where it's like trying to make sure you don't piss off the agents,
Right.
Trying to make sure you don't piss off the managers because you're not there for the other things they want to make checks off of, and then
yeah. Plus, if you can
got
do
bills
it,
to pay here though.
if you're
you know?
getting the work like I did, I was on an MTV show. We did one season. We got canceled the second season.
Yeah.
And I was bummed. I was like, and I wasn't doing shifts right around then. And I turned down 2 roles on Sons of Anarchy.
Wow.
Because but I had the time I was doing a lot of TV stuff.
Yeah.
And at the time I had a quote, and they wouldn't meet the quote. I go, I want a recurring and a quote, and they go, we're not going to do that. I go,
Yeah.
I'm going to go, and it was my early ship year. It
Yeah.
was my first handful of shifts.
Yeah.
And I was going through a divorce. I'm like, I kind of need this gig.
Yeah, I need cash.
So I took the shift thing, got signed the deal and the whole deal, and then they called back and Sons encountered and gave me 3 episodes with more money.
Yeah.
And I go, I can't cancel this ship. I'll be screwed. I'll never work ships.
Yeah,
And
they'll piss you off.
so I ended up taking the ship gig.
Yeah.
And then not doing Sons, and I don't know if that was a good choice or a bad. Well, you know,
Right.
I work on ships all the time
but
because I can't complain.
Right. I mean, there's plenty of people who've done a 3-episode recurring and aren't working anymore. And
Dude, I got a buddy
built
that
a whole career off. You have a whole career going.
I got a buddy that canceled a whole 6 months of ship work.
Yeah.
Based on one role on a ABC detective show where he was told he was going to get more.
Yeah.
Work. And when I did Southland, they were like, "You're going to do a whole lot more episodes." And I heard that. The thing was though, at that time, I heard it so many times. I was like, I hear that, and I just never get. I don't get series regular. I don't, you know what I mean? I still get, co-star. And I wasn't doing co-stars at that point. I sort of started turning those down.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I'm not doing a co-star.
Yeah.
So it was a weird timing thing.
Yeah,
you know
it is a weird timing. That's the weird thing about entertainment is you constantly feel like you're in this position when you're still finding certain which lane is going to be your main lane. Where you're turning down money, and the money seems to always overlap.
Yeah,
like
right,
there'll be 3 months where you don't have shit, and then the one month where you have cruises, you book something awesome. Or the 1 week I had a cruise, I had to cancel the cruise because it was I got booked to do like a festival in Thailand, and they were going to shoot a comedy special out there for all of Asia that I was going to be on, and then I canceled the cruise, and then the tour fell through. Ugh. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, right.
But it's like, but the fact that those kind of things pop up at the same time, you know, it's just kind of one of those Murphy's Law things where you almost feel like God is testing you to be like.
Yeah, but it's also the business we're in, bro. That's what, I mean, you know what I mean? You never know where it's going to come from. You're constantly hustling to get something. Mm-hmm. So then you're going to make a decision. Yeah. It's cool. It's a good feeling to say no sometimes. And it's good to have the money and the power to say no or whatever. You know what I mean? At least be in that situation and ride it out. Then you get to a point where you're like, okay, I should say yes to something now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it's funny you say that. That's what I was literally just thinking about that last week at home where an agent hit me up about something like, do you want to do this? Or someone wants to know if you're interested in doing this other thing. And I was just like, thought about it because like I said, I'm still in that penny pinching mode sometimes where in my head I'm kind of like, I should just do everything all the time that can lead to something. You know what I mean? Right. And I thought about it and I was like, that's going to be a lot of work. It's not a guarantee, as many things in our business, right? It's like, make us a proof of concept of something. And then I was like, but even if it goes, I'm not even going to enjoy making that thing that they want me to make. Yeah, right. Yeah, and I was like, no, I don't want to do it. Right. Like, I don't care if it's a great opportunity, you know? And it felt good because it's like, oh, it's not feast or famine anymore. You know what I mean? It's like feast or chill. You know what I mean? Right. So it's kind of cool to just be like, all right, we're good. Yeah. I
know exactly what you're talking about, dude. I just recently turned down a ship that I reached out and I wanted to do it. Yeah. And then I got the money offer back in the itinerary, and I go, I don't want to do this. Yeah. And my agent was like, dude, you asked for it. I go, yeah, but it's not what I thought it was, and the money's nowhere near what I thought it was. Right. So I don't have to do anything, really. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I just didn't do it. And the biggest thing was I thought, because I have this problem where I want to fill the calendar. And that's like an early comic mentality thing too. Yeah. Where you just fill the dates. Yeah. But like I'm excited. November's coming up. I got 2.5 weeks off. Yeah. I've been holding those rock solid. I'm like, I'm not working these 2.5 weeks.
Like Thanksgiving and stuff?
Yeah, I always take Thanksgiving off, first of all. That week I always have off with the kids, and we got like a tradition thing we do.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, and then I got about 12 days off at the beginning of, and I have to go to Florida to deal with some family issues. Mm-hmm. But but the bottom line is, I could have done another gig, and I was like, I should do it. But then I'm like, I knew I'd be miserable every day of the gig. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't. I just can't let myself do 7 days of that. Yeah, you know?
and that's the thing is you've earned not having to do that.
Yeah, after X amount of years in the business, you're like, you know what, I don't have to do that.
Yeah, it's funny how we're just to make it this far in our careers, you just had to create the mentality of being okay with putting yourself through hell. Right. Right. It's
well, that's because they do it the other way around. They make it that way. You know what I mean? They make it like they're doing you a favor to give you spots or a favor to book you and all this stuff.
Dude, I mean, even 2 years ago, I'd go headline this club down in Scottsdale, and I would go because the guy would give me a couple of spots like a year. So I'd headline this club like twice a year, 3 times a year, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he would just pay me cash in a plastic bag. Really? And he would just go, this never happened. And just give me $1,000.
Oh, really?
Cash. And I'm like, are you laundering money? Like, what the fuck is going on in this place?
Great. Should I run out of here?
Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. And Scottsdale's a fun town, Yeah. So it was a good time, But when it was time to like eat, he'd be like, yeah, you can get whatever you want off the appetizer. You get one appetizer. That's what I could get for food. A 2-show night. I'm there from 7 p.m. till midnight.
Oh no!
And I can have one thing off of the appetizer, and I'm headlining. Like, you know what I mean? It was just like such a. You just get, but you're trained now to go. Oh, thanks so much for chicken tenders. It's like, yeah, you know, it's just like they just batter your self-worth for years and years. You know, you kind of have to wake up.
You do. I did a gig in Ojai once, in Northern California.
Yeah. Nice.
I can't remember. It was some sort of lodge or whatever. But I didn't feel good. It was years ago. I had some sort of cold, and I got there, and all I could think about, I just want a bowl of soup. Like a bowl of soup. It sounds so good.
Yeah.
So I walk in, and the feature didn't show up, so I was supposed to do like over an hour. I'm tired. So I go, look, man, I go, do you have a menu? And they give me a bar menu. I go, do you guys have soup or something? They go, yeah, it's on the dinner menu, but you got to order off the bar menu. I go, it's fucking soup.
Yeah.
I go, dude, it's literally soup. It's all your leftovers in a broth.
It's literally what they give homeless people.
Yeah, I just want some soup. And they go, well, you got to pay for it. I go, I'll pay for the soup. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I was so angry. It's literally soup.
It's the principle, right?
Yeah, it's just soup, dude. You know, and I was so mad.
But they'll give you a drink ticket. It's like, what if
they
I
go,
don't
well, I can give you some vodka and chicken wings. I don't want chicken wings.
Yeah, can I have just soup, dude? Yeah, and it's like, it's just the principle. You know, it's the old Rodney Dangerfield. Like, I get no respect.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, can I just get some respect out of
I'm looking around, there's 12 people there or whatever. You're like, come on, man. It's just a bowl. It's vegetable soup.
Yeah, I know. That's always a thing, man. So we have to, again, just rewire our brain out of that.
Yeah, it's what to do. We've gone full circle. It goes right back to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
You're used to saying thank you.
To like standing up for yourself.
Yeah, at some point you're going to go, how about a fucking thank you for me for an hour of entertaining this room.
Yeah, like, I deserve better than this.
Yeah, right.
It's really, and not having a union as comics, you know what I mean? It's, you know, coming from, I know you're in SAG and I'm in SAG, and like in WGA, it's like the Writers Guild, they treat writers, after getting to do this writing thing, it's like, dude, like writers won't write a fucking page without getting paid something for certain things. Right. It's like, if they have to do a second round of notes, you better pay me for the second round of notes. Right, everything. Whereas comics not having a union, we're constantly just so taken advantage of, and we feel like we have no power. It's a really eye-opening.
Well, and it really never changes, because there's always guys trying out to be stand-ups, and they always just hire those guys.
There's no such thing as a scab in comic. That's just a guy that got lucky.
No, that's the guy that works with the chicken tenders.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, all right, let's wrap this. Dude, thank you. This is awesome. This blazed by. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
dude. Any what do you got socials wise? What do you got social? You want to share anything?
Yeah, sure. So I'm on Instagram at Feraz Ozel. That's my name, and then I'm on TikTok at Ozel Comedy. And I'm posting a lot on TikTok lately, so hopefully China doesn't fuck up and they don't destroy it in America or something. Stop us from using it, because it's kind of my best thing I got going.
There's always a rumor of they're going to take it away.
Yeah.
I just updated my website. I go, should I put TikTok on there? I don't know. It might be gone.
I know.
It's on there.
And then, so then on YouTube, Feraz Ozel, you can find me also searching on YouTube. Still building that channel up, kind of having to focus more on the social media stuff. But
right on.
those things. Yeah.
All right, dude. Thank you, man.
All right.
Perfect,
thanks.
man. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks.